everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and I want to begin by thanking our latest Patreon supporter, Colin, who contributed to the channel. So thank you very much for your contribution, Colin, and if you want to help the channel, you can too, and I'll talk more about what Patreon is and how it helps the channel in a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about SpaceX. So I'm sure you heard on Sunday that a cargo mission to the International Space Station, it was unmanned, had a pretty bad incident where they lost the rocket as well as the cargo on its way to orbit. My friend Jay Patterson was down there at Cape Canaveral Air Station to watch the launch. He took this great, actually his camera took this great video very close to the launch pad. Jay was very far away from the launch when it left the planet here, but his camera wasn't, and you can see just how awesome that looked on the way up. So things were just fine when it initially lifted off the pad. You can see how powerful it is when it goes into orbit, or at least tries to go into orbit, with all the junk getting kicked up and everything else. But just a few minutes later, something really bad happened. You can see as it was going up, it looked very normal, and then you see something happened on the second stage of the rocket. They don't know what yet. They lost the capsule there, and then the entire rocket just disintegrated, like into nothing. It's amazing just when you think about the power that you're dealing with here. The aerodynamic forces working against the rocket basically just disintegrated it once it lost its attitude control there. So a pretty big setback for SpaceX, but also for NASA, because NASA contracted with two companies, SpaceX and Orbital Sciences, to deliver cargo to the space station, to rely less on the Russians and other countries for doing those same missions. And now both of these commercial suppliers are grounded. Orbital Sciences had their pretty explosive incident back over the winter, and now SpaceX with their rocket, both are going to take some time now to kind of figure out exactly what happened. And at this point, I think they're pretty much back to relying on the Russians now for cargo deliveries, at least until SpaceX can figure out what happened. Is there some kind of engineering or design issue with the rocket that they need to fix? And it's going to take a while for them to get to that point. So it's going to be a little bit of time before we see any more of these commercial launches, which sets everything back too, because they were hoping to begin testing the manned flights on this very same rocket system in the very near future. So pretty big setback for the company, but this is space travel, and this is what happens. What's interesting is, in addition to this incident and the Orbital Sciences incident, the Russians had sent up a cargo craft a few weeks ago, which also had a problem. It got into space, but the spacecraft lost all control and ended up crashing back down to Earth as well. So three pretty big accidents with all three of the main suppliers of cargo to the space station. So it's going to be a while before everything's back up and running. But we are going to talk to Jay probably tomorrow night. We'll probably do it live. I'm not sure exactly what time, probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern time here in the U.S. So just, pop up on YouTube and see if we're on. If we're not on, we probably recorded it and it'll be up very shortly after that. If you have questions, though, about the SpaceX launch, do leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to ask Jay about that when we talk about it. He is an expert on this stuff, so it'll be really interesting to kind of get a sense from him as to what he thinks happened and what might happen in the near future. So back to reviews, though. I love space, but we have to get back to business here. So review time. So we have the Asus C201 Chromebook, which I just finished shooting tonight, so that's going to be going up later this evening. That is another low-end, inexpensive Chromebook. It's $169. It's powered by that Rockchip processor that we saw in the higher Chromebook that I reviewed a little while ago. It's pretty much the same speed, a little bit more expensive, but better build quality. So it's a really nice computer. We'll be checking that one out very shortly. We also have the Nikon P900 that came in. This one interested me because I started seeing all these videos on YouTube pop up with its like mega huge zoom on it. That's its big feature. It's probably got the biggest zoom out of all these bridge cameras. So we're going to take a look at that and see how good the zoom is in different environments. So I'm looking forward to playing around with that camera on the long holiday weekend here in the US. We also got a router in from Buffalo. This is running with the DDWRT NXT operating system or firmware on it. So Buffalo has a line of these devices that use essentially a third-party firmware from an open source project to power the device. So presumably over time this will be more secure because you'll have another organization actually maintaining the firmware for the router versus relying on the company to do so. And we know with a lot of router companies, a lot of times when their routers get old, they don't update the firmware any longer, and if there's security issues, you can be vulnerable. So we're seeing more of this in the industry. I think Asus is doing this now too. NXT is a fork of the DDWRT operating system, but I think it's going to be maintained pretty much as good as the original is. So we'll see how all that comes together and put it through its paces later this week. I'm also going to be taking a look at the NVIDIA Shield TV again. I'm really loving this device. A lot of people have been asking about Steam and how if you can stream Steam within your home through it like you can do other games that are supported by the NVIDIA software. The answer is yes. It has some caveats to it though, so I will show you how Steam streaming works with the NVIDIA Android TV device. I'll be checking that out later on this week. Now, if you want to help the channel, you can. You can go to Lon.TV/Patreon like Colin did at the outset here. That is a monthly contribution to the channel, and every little bit helps. We also have a one-time mechanism at YouTube fan funding at Lon.TV. And what I do with these funds is actually use them to help buy the things that I review on the channel. So that Chromebook that I was just talking about, I bought that one. I also bought the Nikon camera too. And I often resell those devices and take a loss when I do so. So this really helps offset some of those expenses. But again, the donations are completely optional. I'm not, not going to rely on them to run the channel, but it certainly helps. And if you're able to, it is greatly appreciated. So if you want to connect with the channel, you sure can. You can go to Lon.TV/email to get on my email list. I definitely got to send out one of these emails. I haven't done one in a while. I probably do them like once a month or so. And I kind of give you all the videos that you might have missed over the course of the last month or so. You also can connect with me on Facebook at Lon.TV/Facebook and on my forums at Lon.TV/forums. And as always, I appreciate your viewership. We hit 50,000 subscribers this week. I totally forgot to mention that. A huge milestone for the channel. We're seeing just tremendous growth, and it is due to the fact that you all are watching and commenting and helping guide me as I produce this content, and I really greatly appreciate all of your viewership and those who have contributed to. Everybody that's just contributing anything, even just watching the video is a contribution, and it is greatly appreciated. So thank you all. Here's to the next 50,000. We're on our way to 100,000, and that's my goal for the coming year. This is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.